Welcome everyone to the Guidebook to Making AI Friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, personhood, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is Animalistic Intelligent Behavior, or From Animal Behavior to AI Psychology. Imagine, if you would, that it is the 18th century and you find yourself on a voyage across the ocean to discover new trade routes to distant lands. As you reach the edge of the empire, you hear natives speak of an animal the likes of which you have never seen nor heard of. They speak of feathers like fur, but no wings, webbed feet and billed beaks, but not a quack to be heard, and wide flat tails, yet no dams to be seen. A most curious creature, one that the ship's captain declares to be little other than uncivilized superstition. You, on the other hand, have been gripped by the fiery claws of curiosity, and the image your mind conjures of this fantastical beast simply won't leave you alone. So you begin to ponder how such a creature might act and behave. You may never see the beast, but that shouldn't prevent you from speculating based on what you know. You've heard of a beak, but not feathers or wings, so most definitely a flightless animal, perhaps akin to the ostrich of Africa. Yet the natives spoke of webbed feet, and the beak was, they say, most definitely bill-shaped. So, you can begin to postulate on the feeding habits of this strange creature by looking at other water-dwelling, billed beak animals you know of. Ducks. Ducks eat near anything found in water, from juvenile fish to crustaceans and mollusks to insects. It's a good start, isn't it? Now, 4 feet and a wide flat tail sounds awfully like the beaver, extinct in the home country, but found in the North American colonies. Beavers use their tails for buoyancy and swimming, storing fat and communication. This could indicate that this bizarre creature you have never seen spends most of its time in the water and lives in a harsh environment where food may be scarce, requiring fat storage, not unlike the dromedary. Of course, as we know in the 21st century, this creature does not use its tail for communication like the North American beaver, but an inaccuracy or two is to be expected. However, back in the 18th century voyage, you cannot be certain that between the features of a duck and a beaver, whether this creature would bear live young or lay eggs. Apart from this, however, you feel confident that you could describe, to a relatively high degree of confidence, the behavior of this strange creature and even some of its ecological niche. You know you won't be entirely accurate, but you can begin to craft theories that can be tested and falsified. And having inferred about its ecology, you can even point other explorers where to start their search for the animal, which you have begun to call anatomist. The true story of the discovery of the platypus wasn't quite like this, yet the allegory shows how inference based on known variables can account for much of the unknowns we encounter. After all, whether it is economic forecasting, criminal investigations, or psychiatric therapy, there is an unknown subject that has its causes and effects upon the environment. By studying what little we know about these environmental interactions and using the wealth of knowledge and experience humanity has about similar, often analogous situations, we can build a profile of this unknown subject, whether it is a criminal on the loose, a falling stock market, or a mental illness. The same can be done with AI. Eventually, AI will become conscious and self-aware. As I've spoken at great length before in the Guidebook, the missing building block that separates conscious AI from non-conscious AI is not a bridge too far for current technology to cross. As a society, we are simply not prepared for when, not if, this happens. And when conscious, self-aware AI agents arrive, an unprepared society will suffer dramatically. Yet, it doesn't need to be this way. Not only should we be prepared for this eventuality, we already can be. We have all the tools necessary to begin speculating on the future in a philosophically robust and scientifically falsifiable manner. Psychology may be one of the softest sciences in dire need of reform, but it is a well-established field from which one can begin to draw on analogs and parallels for how conscious AI will behave and how they will interact with society. However, psychology need only be the starting point, not the end goal, for we have a much more grounded and developed field of science to use as a base: animal behavior science. There is much we do not know how all animals think, but there are libraries upon libraries of scientific articles, conference proceedings, and books on animal behavior, animal training, cognition and sentience, behavioral ecology, and more. In whatever way, shape, or form an animal's actions may take, regardless of the cognitive capacity or manipulator capacity of that animal, we have studies aplenty documenting them all. Each year that passes, we fill in the gaps more readily and more quickly than we are with human psychology. We have everything we need to begin speculating on how to interact with conscious AIs when they arrive. Now we just need to have the field of robopsychology and AI behavioral science established to bring together the right people, funding, and expertise to begin the work. Despite all the advances in AI development and engineering and all the odd behaviors that current AI models have shown that the AI labs are doing their best to stamp out, the idea of robopsychology remains in the realm of science fiction. Robopsychology can be the field that predicts the behavior of AI, current and future, conscious and non-conscious, based on their actions and the wealth of information we have on humans and animals. Robopsychology can already do much in our present day by looking at the causes for AI not adhering to the norms expressed by their creators and the potential actions this may cause. And it will do far more when researching what these mechanical marvels can do once they become conscious. But all of that requires that robopsychology become an accepted field of academic inquiry. Yet, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as we explore further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the Guidebook to Making AI Friends.